feel like a common theme you've been kind of saying, but we haven't really actually said, is that most of the loudest people talking on behalf of the Black community are the ones that, I guess, got it wrong about like what needs to happen.
Yes, I think what you have today in terms of Black leaders are people trying to maintain relevance by continuing to present Black problems as civil rights problems, as they were in the 50s or 40s or 60s. They want to use white oppression as an all-purpose explanation for what ails Black America. It keeps them relevant in the discussion. If the major barriers to Black progress have little or nothing to do with white people or civil rights anymore, Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson are irrelevant. So they can't let that happen. And so they push an agenda that keeps them relevant. I was going to talk about this tomorrow a little bit, but one of the mistakes I think that the Black leadership made early on is pursuing political power first. The civil rights gains of the 60s, the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act of 64, I think are pretty much universally praised as progress. And what the left assumed would follow are electing more Black officials who would then help use their political power to bring along the Black poor. That has not happened. And I talk about this in the book a little bit, but if you look at history and how other groups rose from poverty to prosperity, very few choose that route. Most focused on, well, first of all, most had intact families that helped them rise, but also most focused on economic empowerment first. Educational attainment, economic empowerment. The politics came later. There are other groups that have done it in the reverse, like Blacks. The Irish are one of the more prominent examples. If you go back to the 20s and 30s, Irish political machines were running Boston, New York, Philadelphia, but the Irish masses were not doing well. And in fact, it wasn't until the decline of those political machines when you started seeing large increases in average Irish incomes in America. So this correlation between political power and economic power, this calculation that if you get the political power first, Black America has plenty of political power. I think I have the figure in the book where the number of Black elected officials in this country rose since 1970, has risen from something like 1,500 to around 10,000. But obviously, socioeconomic advancement has not followed. And again, historically, you wouldn't expect to see it. And it's not just true of progressive groups in this country. You can look at these international comparisons, how groups have risen in other countries and what they've focused on. And if you look at the group in America today that is hitting it out of the park, it's Asians, both in terms of incomes, in terms of academic achievement. They're the smartest kids in the class, they're the highest earners in the economy. How much political power do they have? So again, another example of an alternative way of doing things that I think the Black civil rights leadership got wrong. And there was a debate about this. This was your Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois debate at the turn of the 20th century. And Du Bois won. But the Black poor did not.